see him yet, but he came in this morning.
Here.
Brown.
Here.
Bragg.
Here.
Elliott.
Here.
Keener.
Here.
Present, no absent.
Next we'll have pledge flag led by Mayor Pro Tem Stephanie, Honorable Stephanie Elliott.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
There's proclamations, and we do have one proclamation to read tonight. The passing of a very good friend that was read at her funeral service this past Saturday. It says, resolution of respect for Lady Eddie Mae Harrison, a beloved leader and citizen of Alton, Illinois. We are today comforted by the words of our Lord in Revelation 21:4, which says, and God shall wipe away all tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death, neither sorrow nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain, for the former things are passed away. Whereas Lady Eddie Mae Harrison of Deliverance Temple Church of God in Christ transitioned from this life on Friday, the 14th day of October 2022 at 5:40 in the evening. And whereas Lady Eddie Mae Harrison was a force, she defied convention and broke barriers again and again. She was an advocate for our community, epitome of sainthood and fearless in the face of injustice and persecution. A woman of faith and grace, the wife of the Honorable Dr. Gregory Lynn Harrison. And whereas Lady Eddie Mae Harrison was a loving and attentive partner, parent, and grandmother who instilled in her children, Marcus, Jason, Brian, Jeffrey, and all of her children, a strong devotion to the Lord and a sense of responsibility to those less fortunate. And whereas it has pleased Almighty God to take unto himself a worthy leader, Eddie Mae Harrison, too soon by our measure, but in the providence of the all-knowing divine, and whereas in God's holy wisdom he has called home Lady Eddie Mae Harrison to dwell with him in the glories of paradise, the office of Mayor David Goins offers our sincere condolences to the family. Your sorrow is our sorrow. Your loss is magnified by the loss of a dear soul from this great city of Alton, Illinois. And whereas Lady Eddie Mae Harrison served this earthly kingdom with devout ministrations to her church as a dynamic woman of praise, avid prayer warrior, and First Lady for more than 38 years, who shared the fruit of her labor as a principled woman of color and community leader and contributed generously to ministries and missions all over the world. And whereas Lady Eddie Mae Harrison performed her work on this earth and offered her life for the greater honor and glory of God, unreservedly and in the spirit of humility to all and in all. Now therefore be it resolved, our beloved Lady Eddie Mae Harrison has concluded her earthly journey with a bold testimony 4:7-8. kept the faith, read that day, and not to her only, Lord. Family. Number 4, I need Alderman Brown, second by Alderwoman Allen. Chair so orders. Number 6, communication forfeited funds from the police department in the amount of $126.76. Need a motion and a second to place this on file. Mac? Motion.
The minutes of October 24th.
By Chair so orders.
I'll make a motion to place the committee of the whole meeting report for October 20.
Aye.
Move to C.
Allen.
Get B, that's all, no problem.
Oh, it never made it out of the committee of the whole.
Yeah.
Would you like me to read it?
No.
Okay.
I just, yeah, sorry.
Variable. Variable. Bragg.
Be it resolved by the council Logan allotment of motor fuel tax.
Allen.
Aye.
McAfee.
Aye.
Number D, or letter D. Agreement for state-led construction, Department of Transportation in the City of Alton. I'll make a motion to adopt.
Second.
Madam Clerk, please call roll.
Variable.
Aye.
Elliott.
Aye.
7 ayes, no nays, no absent.
Letter E, be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Alton Service Agreement for Construction Engineering Services between Shepherd, Morgan, and Schwab Incorporated and the City of Alton, a copy of which is attached hereto.
Allen. Variable.
Aye.
7.
F, to resolution
McAfee.
No.
Keener.
Aye.
4 ayes, 3 nays, 0 absent.
G, be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Alton, Illinois, that the best bid of S. Schaefer Excavating Incorporated for 1125 Hampton Avenue, Building and Zoning Department, Council 242 Madison Avenue to be awarded for bid number 20.
Bragg.
Aye.
Ordinance number 7850.
Madam Clerk, may I have the first reading of ordinance number 7860?
7860 for first reading. Samuel E. White.
Until I over. Second. Chair so ordered. Madam Clerk, may I have the first reading of ordinance number 7861?
Ordinance number 7861. Illinois.
His appointment is Scott Dixon.
Motion.
Brown.
Allen.
Aye.
McAfee.
Are we voting for their appointment? No.
Strable.
Aye.
Brown.
Aye.
Bragg.
Aye.
Elliott.
Aye.
Keener.
Aye.
1 nay, 0 absent.
The second is Robert Wayne Harris to the Planning Commission. Need a motion and a second to approve.
I make a motion to approve.
Motion by Alderwoman Brown, second by Alderwoman Elliott. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Allen.
Aye.
McAfee.
Aye.
Strable.
Aye.
Brown. Bragg.
Aye.
Elliott.
Aye.
Keener.
Aye.
7 ayes, no nays, no absent.
Thank you. Number 14. Elliott, second by Alderwoman Brown. Chair so order. Meeting minutes of the Appearance Review Commission from October 5th, 2022. Motion and a second to place on file. I need a second. Orders. Number 15, approval of actions taken under suspension of rules at a prior meeting. Are there any?
No.
All right. 16, public forum addressing city business. First, we have
Oh, no, you can read them.
okay.
It's okay.
We have Mr. Steve Bryant and motion and a second. Second by of our speakers tonight. Clerk, call the roll.
Allen.
Aye.
Strable.
Aye.
Brown.
Aye.
Bragg.
Aye.
Elliott.
Aye.
Keener.
Aye.
Absent.
Okay, first we have Mr. Steve Bryant.
Good evening, and first of all, thank you for inviting me to be here this evening, and which Alton participates in with the majority of the Metro East communities that surround us. And there are several things that are going on. One in particular is people are starting to receive their bills from Ameren, and those who are still with Ameren and not part of the aggregation program has seen a huge spike in their bills from the point of about 5 cents per kilowatt to the latest of 12.26 cents per kilowatt. The residents of Alton has been protected from that, from being part of the municipal aggregation program with the other municipalities in the Metro East communities. And Good Energy LP, who I work for, and have worked with the city of Alton now for I think 12 years on the program, is currently paying a base rate of 4.29 cents per kilowatt versus Ameren's 12.23. That's an average savings for the normal residential unit of between $60 and $70 per month. That program expires in December and has since went out for bid for renewal. And like all good things, it comes to an end. So unfortunately, the bid price came in just over 12 cents, and that is still lower than Ameren's rate, and that rate will continue for 22 months starting in February. One of the issues there's several issues that have contributed to the high rising cost of power, and the geopolitical stuff that we've all read about, Ukraine and the Clean Air Act and all that stuff has contributed to rising costs. But what the average person doesn't understand is that once the Clean Air Act was put into place, they basically told all the power plants they had to shut down coal generation and convert it to a much cleaner fuel, which they converted everything to natural gas. And then out came the war in Ukraine, and we are now exporting to 40 European nations natural gas, and that has been dwindling the stockpile of natural gas in the U.S., and therefore now the generation with natural gas has been created a huge burden on the natural gas ability to obtain. So with that being said, those are the biggest factors as far as the high cost in electric rates. The aggregation since the beginning, the three communities actually that started it was Alton, Bethalto, and Godfrey. And we combined with several of the communities in the Peoria area and shopped our first rate, and it was, at the time, it was 5.76 cents from Ameren, and we secured the lowest rate ever in the history of aggregations, and it was 3.86 cents. Well, 2 years ago, when we went out for bid, the longest contract that we could obtain by any supplier was 24 months, of which was Homefield Energy. Homefield Energy has been the carrier now, or supplier, for the last 2 years, and unfortunately...
1 minute, sir.
Okay.
No, you're good.
Okay,
1 minute.
still good. Okay, so the Homefield Energy was a successful bidder, and unfortunately this year, due to the volatile market conditions, they chose not to bid. In fact, we had 3 bidders up until 2 days prior to bid opening. On the third day before, one canceled. We have a strict RFP policy to protect, of course, our municipalities and its residents. And financial issues have become a burden for the majority of the suppliers to be able to secure the funding for these types of programs. So shortly after that one pulled out, then a second one pulled out, and Constellation Energy was a successful bidder. And with that being said, the interesting thing with all of this is the meaning of aggregation has changed from group buying power to insurance. So now our job as being able to oversee aggregations is to ensure that the residents don't see a huge impact in the cost of electricity from the time the contract's signed till then, because our rates are locked in for 24 months, or 22 months in this case, and those rates alone could skyrocket. Everything that has contributed to the high cost, there's no nothing in the near future, it looks like that's going to change.
Thank you.
And with that being said, that's, I have a fact sheet that I'll set over here for the new members that may not know a lot about aggregation. It answers the basic questions and so forth, and I would entertain if anybody has a question.
I do. So you're saying that the one company that did bid for this is 12,
Yes.
and Ameren you said was 12?
Yeah, they're 12.23 currently.
12.23, and this is 12.
Yes, 12.1, yes.
With what's going to happen, we don't know what's going to happen in the future, but probably Ameren will probably.
Yeah, we know as consultants and commodity market specialists that Ameren has made 2 additional purchases. Okay, they're required by law to file their rates with the ICC. They had to file those in May. Since May, they've had to go back 3 additional times. And each time those rates had changed and increased from 10.86 cents to the 12.23 cents, what they're currently at. So as those, it's fairly simple for them to go to the ICC and get increases approved because they have to buy power. And we know for a fact that they've had to buy power on 2 different occasions off the open market, and those rates, which will eventually be passed on to the residents, was in the 17-cent range. So, it looks like to us and others in the industry that there's nowhere to go but up, unfortunately. And you guys have done a very good job with the rest of the residents, our communities within the Metro East, to protect your residents from the high volatility in this market. We have one other group that is also part of the Metro East. They came up for bid like 3 months after this group did, and they secured a 3-year contract. And their numbers were 4.9 cents per kilowatt, and they're good until December or January of 2024. So, they're in much better shape. But your residents have been saving since May on an average of about $70 to $75 per month on their electric bills based on the aggregation.
So you're saying that February, our rates are going to probably be.
Yeah, actually, the contract expires in December, and when that expires, how the program works, when that expires, everybody reverts back to Ameren. And then there's 60 days between that point to switch suppliers, which we will do, and that's part of our job for the city. We switch those, and then everybody gets their letters in the mail that everybody really doesn't like. So, but
exactly.
the best way to explain those letters is if you want to be a part of the aggregation, do nothing with them. Just ignore them, throw them in the trash, whatever, because you're in the aggregation unless you opt out of it.
Okay, and so then my next question, so when you send that letter out, because I don't ever read mine because I know what it is, are you going to specifically
Yes,
state that
actually,
it's 12?
Yes. We state the price, and we state Ameren's price as well.
Okay.
So everybody knows up front what those prices are.
What are we at right now?
You're currently at 4.29 cents per kilowatt.
Thank you.
And it won't take me a minute, but just so you know, I also oversee the municipal accounts for the city of Alton. And working with the staff here, made a recommendation back in May that we lock in our renewal rates as we seen this coming. And on street lighting alone, the city of Alton is saving $58,000 per year. On their DS2 and 3 accounts, which are the larger city hall type accounts, they're saving $156,000 annually.
And what's that compared to?
They're on a 3-year contract.
Is that compared to
Ambulance rates.
what we would in the currently?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yes. And we also do the natural gas, and although natural gas is much less quantity, so but you still save $12,000 to $14,000 annually on that. So you have a combined savings of $225,000 annually just by, we pull more municipalities together when we go out for bid and secure the lowest prices that we can for the municipalities.
I'm aware that, I'm aware of the Ameren's efficiency programs and things like that.
Yes.
I wonder, do you all offer any programs or in
Yes.
your
Well-
outreach and rollout, might you kind of link people to some of those programs?
Yes, we do. We actually refer people, we work with CDAC and some of the other
Good, yeah.
organizations, and refer our customers solely to those partners of the energy efficiency program within Illinois. And we also refer our municipalities to Ameren for the rebates, because you have chosen a different supplier does not mean that you can't take advantage of all the other Ameren benefits that they put out there. So a lot of times we will, like when people need, I mean, even if you're exploring solar and whatever, we will sit in on those meetings as your consultant and go through those meetings with you and make recommendations to you on how to save money. We do the same thing on Ameren franchise agreements. I'm the guy that found the loophole 4 years ago that Alton currently wasn't covered under a franchise agreement for money to come in for using your right-of-way, and we were able to secure $4 million through the process of rewriting that franchise agreement. You guys still had a franchise agreement that listed Union Electric as your supplier. So anyway, but that's it. I know
How do you all give back to the community?
how do we give back to the community? We actually do a lot of different donations and stuff to nonprofit groups. Each of the communities also are allowed to take a civic fee of 1/10 of 1 cent, and we urge those civic fees to go back into different type organizations and programs for energy efficiency and youth and so forth. So how, we can't dictate that, of course, but we also work very hard at expressing our opinion during those times. And we work with all of our communities and are open to all types of recommendations that we can be helpful to the municipality's residents. Okay. Any other?
Thank you.
Mayor? Council, thank you.
We have Mike Batchelor.
Good evening, everyone. It has been 1 year this week since I last stood up here and talked to you all. I gave you a progress report on how I view our city council and city as a whole doing from my front row point of view. A recap of that night, since Alderwoman Elliott was not with us and Alderwoman Allen was not here with us yet. I did not paint a very pretty picture of our city that night. In that meeting, we were just voting on filling the vacancy of the comptroller's office. By the way, congratulations. Debbie, welcome. We were fresh off a very heated executive session that had voices and tempers raised in this room that I never thought we'd ever see. We had yet to pass a single ordinance or other than a simple parking space or route for a parade due to many rewrites from our corporate council. And deja vu, we were squabbling over budgets. Now, a full year and some change into this council being seated, the large-scale animosity fighting, thankfully, has subsided. But the underlying issues facing our city haven't much changed. We are presented this spring with the fact that we are dealing with a nearly $3 million budget deficit, even with the severe cuts in spending across the city. While the ideal plan was for us to come out of the pandemic stronger, our city has come out weaker than most of our neighbors. We've been given no real vision, no new plan, or even simple guides to put us on an upward trajectory. I'm asked each week by friends and family what I actually see that's being accomplished from my front row. And honestly, other than a few things like with our parks and police and fire, I don't know what we've done in the last year and a half, other than things that were approved or voted on under the last administration. Those are the things we're breaking ground on still now. However, I'm not here tonight to talk about what you're not doing, because 5 minutes isn't enough for that. I'm here to talk about one of the few positive things this council has succeeded in as of late, and that is to be more transparent with the public, which I applaud. When I ran for office, I had printed on every one of my campaign pieces that I wanted these meetings to be aired online in real time to get the public informed and engaged. Alderman Strable, you were able to propose that initiative and get it passed, and I thank you for that. As Alderwoman Elliott said several weeks ago, she tells each of her constituents who calls in to complain the best thing they can do to find out what's going on in their city is to attend these meetings or watch them online. Unfortunately, it's only a few handful of us people to show up each week at these meetings, and even fewer select community activists in the region who comment on the videos. Most of the citizens who watch complain that they can't hear you with your microphones turned away and have no idea what it is you're voting on, which Alderwoman Allen has pointed out many times since she's gotten here. Without the full slate of documents that we get to read of each ordinance or bill listing, the public only has access to the summary of the agenda online or a 2-sentence paraphrasing of each ordinance that you vote on. Our city code website even lists every ordinance dating back to the beginning of time and the ordinance when it was approved by date, but it only gives you a 1-sentence summary and not the full text. One shouldn't have to make an appointment to visit City Hall or call into the clerk's office to get a copy of every single ordinance that we pass to see if they're breaking our law or not by mowing their own lawn. In that regard, I'd ask the council to go one step further to make it easier in research to find these items on our website. And finally, in the true spirit of transparency, many in the community and some of you in this room have been upset over the summer months when we got our property tax bills early this summer. And that vote is once again creeping up on us in the next 2 months. So I'd like to add one more comment, if I may. Comptroller Debbie Dunlap over here, in my opinion, did a remarkable job of shooting an arrow at a moving target while blindfolded. As I said before, Alderwoman Elliott says, show up to these meetings. Well, I do, and I was here in that front row for weeks as the vote drew near. I was out sounding an alarm, warning anyone that would listen, business owners, landlords, homeowners, neighbors, the frightening truth that you were all in favor and even on the record and on camera as being for a true tax increase before that final vote came to pass. The RiverBender itself, which I have here, even wrote how you were poised to raise the tax levy, which was the final straw for many. So that early December meeting with holidays drawing near and one alderman not wanting to attend any more meetings in favor of traveling those final weeks and resigning after the holidays were over anyway, I watched as he pulled each of you individually through that door to create a literal backroom deal before the meeting and change course. Debbie was able, with little to no time left on the clock, after already prepping the materials based on your intentions, and she got the rate of accuracy to within 1/100th of a percentage point. She kept your taxes as low as they were despite property values going up in the city. You rammed through the debate and suspended the rules to pass the new amended levy immediately. When asked by Alderman Keener and Elliott why on earth you were forcing this through so quickly, the response from that alderman was, because I want to be done with this. So at the end of the day, if you want to complain about the fraction of a percentage point, you really have no one to blame but yourselves. Thank you, and as always, you know where I'll always be seated if you have questions.
Any questions? Number 17, comments and/or resolutions from the City Council. Alderwoman Allen.
Yes, Mayor, I have a resolution to be referred to the Planning Commission. Be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Alton, Illinois, that the petition made by Susan Shaberg for a map amendment to rezone property located in Section 35, Township 6 North, Range 10, west of the 3rd Principal Meridian, more commonly known as 1801 State Street in Alton, be rezoned from R2 Single Family Residential District to C2 Neighborhood Commercial District for a doctor's office to be considered. I'd like to refer that to the Planning Commission.
Second.
And that is all I have.
Alderwoman McPhee.
Yes, I have a couple of things. First of all, I have a little statement to make. There was an article in RiverBender News about the $550,000 grant that was secured by the Alton Police Department. The article gave the credit to the mayor, so I think it's so unfair to Jarrett Ford and Marco Polito for all their hard work. The police department has been writing grants for the last 8 years since I've been here, and so I would like to give them a big thanks to you, Chief Polito and Jarrett Ford, our deputy, for taking the time to help the city with budget, matters and getting this money, and it does help the budget for the city. And I did have a question. What is the money going for? Do you know?
I will answer, I'm guessing.
Yes.
We'll get you. So those grants have different specific requirements. So that money was kind of, that article described several different grants, and we do have a variety of different stipulations that they can go, but majority of the money is going to be focused. So One of the grants is going to be for the hiring of 2 additional police officers.
Okay.
And then there was also some other funding that was stipulated for anything to try to deter any violent crime in the city. So we're trying to come up with a plan to do that, but we obviously have to officially secure the funds first. Even though we've been told we're going to get the funds, we kind of want to be able to match that up, and then we're going to be able to propose a plan with the mayor's office.
Okay.
With that. It'll be for the benefit of our city.
And Ms. Dunlop, where does that money go when we get it? Does it go into a special account, or does it go into general funds? That's a lot of money. It's about $500,000. So
It would go into the general funds, but designated for grant expenditures.
So it will have a designated source where
Absolutely.
it gets spent? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The federal grants they're audited very intently.
Okay.
So that, yeah, and we have to keep track of certain stipulations, records, and a variety of different things.
Thank you again.
And certain grants, I'm not familiar with the specifics of these, but some of them, you have to pay for them first and then get reimbursed. So it's just a reimbursement of those expenses. And some of them, you get the money ahead of time, but it's still restricted money for that grant.
Okay, thank you. Thank you again, Marco, and Jarrett. I know Jarrett's the one that probably did most of the grant writing. Okay, I do have a resolution to read. Whereas on November 8th, 2017, an ordinance 7592 was adopted by City Council of the City of Alton authorizing the establishment of no parking on the west side of 2500 block of Verdon Street. Whereas the City Council of the City of Alton has deemed it necessary and advisable for the public safety and welfare to remove the no parking sign on the west side of the 2500 block of Verdon Street. Therefore, be it resolved by the City Council that Public Works Department, Police Department, and Fire Department are hereby authorized and directed to effectuate the removal of the no parking sign on the west side of the 2500 block of Verdon Street. And we did do a police study in case you are going to ask, and I'd like to refer this to the Committee of the Whole.
Second.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
Alderman Strickland?
I do. I have a resolution whereas pursuant to 20 ILCS 3855-1-92, the City of Alton desires to aggregate the residential and small commercial retail electrical loads located within its jurisdictional boundaries and arrange for competitive retail electric supply for retail electric accounts. And now, therefore, be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Alton, Illinois, that the mayor and the appropriate city officials are hereby authorized and directed to sign the attached aggregation agreement between Constellation New Energy Incorporated and the City of Alton, dated October 4th, 2022, and any prior execution of the same is hereby ratified and confirmed. I'll refer that to the Committee of the Whole.
Second.
We got another one, a resolution to commence with the demolition proceedings concerning 414 Spring Street, whereas it's necessary to effect the demolition of certain structures deemed unsafe under 65 ILCS 5/11-31-1, the owners of which have neglected or refused to perform required demolition. I'll refer that to the Committee of the Whole.
Second.
I have a resolution authorizing the elimination of a handicap parking space at 830 East 6th Street. Whereas on February 14, 2002, Ordinance 6640 was adopted by the City Council of the City of Alton, Illinois, authorizing the establishment of 2 handicap parking spaces at 830 East 6th Street, Alton, Illinois. And whereas the need for such handicap parking spaces no longer exists and a request for removal has been made to the City Council. And whereas the City Council of the City of Illinois has deemed it necessary and advisable that the 2 handicap parking spaces at 830 East 6th Street in the City of Alton, Illinois be eliminated. I'd like to refer that to the Committee of the Whole.
Second.
And lastly, I have a resolution where it is necessary to adopt the annual tax levy ordinance and any tax abatement ordinance for the fiscal year commencing on the first day of April 2022 and ending on the 31st day of March 2023. I'll make a motion to refer that to the Committee of the Whole.
Second.
That is all I have tonight, Mayor.
Thank you. Alderman Brown?
Yes, this is sort of on the line of what Alderwoman McAfee was talking about when it comes to grants. I was introduced to a grant not too long ago, and this grant would have given my area an opportunity to do some upgrading or some renovating of 2 I think, historical sites within my ward. Come to find out that it was more than a process. I had to make sure that those sites were deemed historical. And I do remember there was a fight in order to try to get that area deemed historical. Also, I didn't even know that I couldn't even go after that grant. They said someone in the city had to do that, so I did reach out. Who does help us with these grants? Anybody know?
I don't think we have anybody that writes grants except for a few people. Public Works and the police department does. I don't know of anybody that does.
So I can speak on behalf of the police department. We have done it for a variety of different years, but at the beginning we were connected with SIUE just as SIU had some grant writers. We were able to connect with them just to try to get some extra guidance on that. But I have to give Deputy Chief Ward some fantastic credit because a lot of what he did was self-taught, just kind of learning and connecting with other people and going through a variety of different experiences. But we were connected with a group with SIUE, and they kind of helped give us some guidance on how to do that. But it was us that we kind of started a little bit doing some research during COVID times as well.
It seems like each department has their own point person. Is that right?
Yes.
Fair to say? Most of the departments?
Because as most people realize, it's an extremely time-consuming task.
Well, I was told as alderwoman that I couldn't pursue it, that I had to go through somebody in the city to actually do that. And I didn't know really who. I reached out.
What grant is that again?
It was a historical grant where monies can be poured into underserved areas of the city in order to renovate certain things.
I think one of the first stops that you could make would probably be with the Historical Commission.
I did reach out, and he said that is going to be a process, and the due date of this grant is November the 8th. I just found out about the grant like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, so, because, timeliness is always in the essence of, in regards to getting any grants done, so.
Are we able to, I can try to help you.
Thank you.
Not that I write grants.
Yeah,
For the next one.
let's talk,
Okay.
hey, Rosie, let's talk about that,
Okay.
okay? And I can try to get you pointed in the right direction in regards to that, especially for future reference.
Thank you. I do have 4 resolutions, Mayor. The Illinois Department of Transportation resolution for improvement under the Illinois Highway Code. Be it resolved by the Council of the City of Alton, Illinois, that the following described streets, road structure to be improved under the Illinois Highway Code. Work shall be done by contract at Rock Springs Drive and College Avenue. Be it further resolved, the safe routes to school and the new sidewalks to be 5 foot wide along Rock Spring Drive and 10 foot wide along College. That there is hereby appointed the sum of $260,000 for the improvement of said section from the local agency's allotment of motor fuel tax funds. Be it resolved that the clerk is hereby directed to transmit 4 certified originals of this resolution to the district office of the Department of Transportation. I, Cheryl Ingalls, city clerk in and said city of Alton in the state aforesaid, and keeper of the records and files thereof as provided by statute, do hereby certify the foregoing to be a true, perfect, and complete original of a resolution adopted by Council of Alton at a meeting held on November 9th, in testimony whereof I have unto set my hand and seal the day of November 2022. Another resolution, whereas the City of Alton has been, number 1, I would like to refer that one to the Committee of the Whole.
Second.
Thank you. Whereas the City of Alton has been granted federal TAP funds for the Safe Routes to School Phase 3 project. Whereas the city must enter into an agreement with the Illinois Department of Transportation in order to use the federal funds. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Alton that upon receipt of the final version from IDOT, the mayor is hereby authorized to execute the joint funding agreement for state-led construction work between the Illinois Department of Transportation and the City of Alton for the above described project, a draft copy of which is attached hereto. I would like to refer that to the Committee of the Whole.
Second.
Thank you. There's another resolution designating an honorary street sign be placed on Cherry Street honoring Eddie Mae Harrison, whereas the City of Alton is a municipal corporation and a home rule unit of local government. Whereas the Illinois Constitution of 1970 provides that a home rule unit may exercise any power and perform any function pertaining to its governments and affairs, whereas honorary street name signs are a common practice across the country and in Illinois to honor individuals who have positively impacted their community, whereas the concept of establishing honorary street names in addition to legal street names serve the stated purpose of recognizing individuals from the city. Whereas Eddie Mae Harrison served Deliverance Temple and his homeless shelter for over 27 years as co-pastor, whereas the City of Alton, Illinois desires to honor Eddie Mae Harrison by an honorary street name sign placed on the 500 block of Cherry Street. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the Alton, Madison County, Illinois as follows. Section 1. The foregoing recitals are hereby found as fact and incorporated herein by reference. On behalf of the Deliverance Temple congregation, the City Council of the City of Alton hereby authorizes an honorary street name sign on the 500 block of Cherry Street that reads Eddie Mae Harrison Place. All resolution or parts of resolution in conflict with any of the provisions of this resolution shall be and same hereby repealed to the extent of the conflict. This resolution shall be in full force and effect from and after the date of its passage and approval in the manner provided by law. I would like to refer this to the Committee of the Whole.
Second.
And the last one, whereas the City of Alton has been granted federal TAP funds for the Safe Routes to School, whereas the construction engineering services for this project are eligible for the federal TAP funds, whereas qualification statements from construction engineering services for this project was solicited by the Alton Public Works Department using federal qualifications-based selection procedures, whereas only one qualification statement was received for this project submitted by Shepherd, Morgan, and Schwab. Whereas the selection committee recommended the engineering services be awarded to Shepherd, Morgan, and Schwab. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Alton that the local public agency engineering services agreement for construction engineering services between Shepherd, Morgan, and Schwab and the City of Alton, a copy of which is attached hereto be and is hereby approved, and the mayor and city clerk are hereby authorized to sign said agreement. I would like to refer this to the Committee of the Whole.
Second.
Okay. That's it then.
Thank you. Alderman Bray.
I have nothing this evening, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Alderman Elliott.
I have one resolution. Be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Alton, Illinois, that the petition made by N-Power Solutions, LLC, for a special use permit for certain property located in Section 18, Township 5 North, Range 9 West of the 3rd Principal Meridian, or commonly known as 10 Cut Street, Alton, Illinois, permanent parcel number 23-1-08-18-00-000-019, in order to install and operate a utility-scale community solar array, be considered and is hereby approved. I'd like to refer this to the Planning Commission.
Second.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Alderman Keenan.
Thank you. I do have one here, and I just wanted to provide a little context here. So you may have noticed on the agenda, this is for the public, you may have noticed that the next resolution I'm going to read here was originally in here as a suspend the rules to be approved tonight. And what this resolution will do in part will be to build a approximately 1,000 foot long flood wall from the Tourism Bureau at Piasaw Street all the way to Williams Street along the riverfront there. It'll be a 5 foot tall flood wall, like I said, 1,000 feet long. And we were given a memo on Monday to suspend the rules tonight and approve that. But in talking to my colleagues on council, it seemed to be the general sentiment that, and I don't want to speak for everybody, so I'm going to say the general sentiment appeared to be that, you know, we're not very comfortable with the very first introduction to the public of this project being us approving it under the suspension of rules and kind of locking us into that. So we certainly want to take advantage of federal funds to mitigate flood damage to our city, which experiences frequent floods. But we would like to see more more public input, more transparency around this project. And so as opposed to suspending the rules tonight, what I would like to do is I will read this in and I would like to refer it to the committee of the whole. We got written confirmation from the funder earlier today that we can still submit this and be in good standing with them after our next regular meeting of November 9th. And so what I'd like to also request is that when I refer this to the committee of the whole for Monday, November 7th, I would like to request Director Caffey provide kind of a presentation about what this project is and what it does, cost benefit, that kind of thing. And I would further like to invite the public and certainly downtown riverfront stakeholders to provide input about that project at that time. And so with that said, I will go ahead and read this. Whereas the City of Alton has been adversely impacted by the increasing frequency and duration of flood events and flood relief efforts, and whereas the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, has solicited applications in order to provide funding to support pre-disaster mitigation efforts, and whereas the City of Alton desires to construct various flood mitigation improvements with an estimated total project cost of $5.4 million, which includes a local match of $2.9 million, with said matching funds in the Riverfront TIF District account being available and unencumbered. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Alton, Illinois, that the mayor is hereby authorized and directed to execute the attached intergovernmental grant agreement between the State of Illinois Emergency Management Agency, IEMA, and the City of Alton. I would like to refer this to the committee of the whole.
Second. Either one.
And I would also just like to make a comment that, based on the presentation tonight about our electricity rates, I hope that in the very near future we'll be rolling out some projects for ARPA funding, and I think it would be a very good idea for us as a city to kind of pay attention to the opportunity that we have with that ARPA funding to provide some relief to residents on the efficiency front. And I think that there's an even greater opportunity with a number of other funding programs that are coming to this region, this state, this city, from things like the Clean Energy Jobs Act, the Climate Equity Jobs Act, which is going to have a workforce hub here in Alton. Are there ways that we can find some alignment with our ARPA funding, with the infrastructure bill, with the Climate Equitable Jobs Act, such that we can create projects that help residents, especially some of our low-income residents, upgrade the efficiency of their homes, so that their electricity and natural gas bills will be much lower. So as the prices are going up, hopefully we as a city can fight back against that with some of these other funding programs that we have available. So with that said, that's all I have this evening. Thank you.
All right, thank you, everybody. I'll entertain them.
Resolution.
I'm sorry.
I don't have a resolution.
Just Friday.
I gave you the one I had for the no parking sign.
Did I pass mine?
Okay.
Something other one I didn't get?
No, as long as that one's here.
I handed it to you, didn't I?
Well, I have the whole stack. I always give them to you after. I'm sorry.
I thought
Wait, I hope that's all yours.
it to you.
You did. I'm sorry. I didn't.
Floor is open. Motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Brown, second by Alderman Alderman Strable.
Allen. McAfee.
Aye.
Strable.
Aye.
Brown. Blake.
Aye.
Elliott. Keener.
Aye.
Ayes, no nays, no absent.
Everyone have a great evening.